The Japanese have a way of stunting a tree so it will stay small. They cut off the taproot, so the tree has to live off the surface roots. Because the tree only has surface roots, it isn't very strong, so it remains fragile and is easily toppled. Many people live like a stunted tree because they live on surface roots. They don't have a taproot, so they live without depth. They have surface relationships because their relationships are centered around external things, such as clothing, money, looks, or enjoyments. They often become so rooted to these surface things that they don't take an interest in building good quality relationships, so their relationships are fragile and unstable. They also have surface love affairs because the love affair is based upon mere physical attraction and having fun, so the love affair easily topples because it's shallow. The taproot of love is only nourished when the basic human needs of respect, trust, and empathy are fulfilled. Families often have surface relationships because the family lives together, but they don't grow together. Family members go about their daily chores. They take care of the yard and the house, but they don't take care of each other because they don't fulfill each other's psychological needs. Businesses are often based upon surface roots too, because the focus of attention is totally on the job goals or productivity, and the personal needs of the employees are overlooked. People often evaluate themselves and determine their self-worth or how successful they are in life based upon things. So they become rooted to things and forget about their inner needs. When this happens, they are easily upset, depressed, uprooted, and hurt. Prestige, cars, fancy clothing, and entertainment are external things, and these external things are surface roots. Our basic psychological needs are our taproots. Only when our inner psychological needs are fulfilled are we improving our relationships with ourselves and others. We can only be effective in human relations and find inner strength in direct proportion to our ability to fulfill people's needs. The purpose of this tape is to help you become aware of the basic needs that are so important in everyone's life. And once you learn how to fulfill these needs, you will build your integrity, cultivate better relationships, and resolve inner and outer turmoil in your life. Here are your basic needs. Each of us have the need to feel safe. We like to feel that we can trust people who are around us. We have the need to be accepted by others. We like approval and support. We have the need to feel effective with the things that we do. And if someone threatens one of these basic needs and we don't feel safe, accepted, or effective, then we become angry, upset, or feel guilty. We don't feel good about the other person. We start to build a mental wall, and even close relationships can be jeopardized. We also have a powerful need to feel good about ourselves. We like to have a sense of self-worth. When we feel good about ourselves, it's easier to get through the day and handle our problems. So in our relationships, it's very important to give people a sense of self-worth. But people often take someone's self-worth away, and they don't even realize what they have done. For example, a mother might say to her son that he is a bad boy. And by making this statement, she has taken his self-worth away. She has labeled her son as being a bad person. She should have said that he was a bad boy in a certain situation, or that he was bad for a limited time period. She should minimize her criticisms. She should minimize her negative statements and help the child keep his self-worth. By doing this, she could deal with her son in such a way so that he would always have his self-worth, regardless of what happens. She doesn't ever have to take his self-worth away from him. And this same principle applies in everyone's life. We can solve problems and conflicts without taking someone's self-worth away. But it's common practice for people to take someone's self-worth away because we compete, compare ourselves with others, or we judge people solely by their title, rank, position, age, race, nationality, or financial status. But by competing, comparing, and making judgments, or worshiping social status, the uniqueness of the individual is forgotten. So we are measuring ourselves with false appearances. We are placing importance upon surface roots. Instead of respecting the worth of each individual, we are giving ourselves up to things, events, and materialistic labels. If we lose ourselves in the game of comparing, competing, and winning over others, then our focus of attention is narrow. We are lopsided because the human potential for growth is hindered, and the uniqueness of each individual is being overlooked. Once the monopoly game of life becomes more important than the value of the individual, then we live as slaves to things and waste time and energy competing and comparing rather than increasing our self-worth potential. We become the servant to objects and labels because our lives become centered around the worth of objects and labels rather than the worth of an individual. Our special way of being, our individual human potential, is so much more than a label, title, or social position that it can't be measured, it's incomprehensible. Our private relationship with life is uncomparable. The moment we compare ourselves with someone else, we are being short-sighted. We are limiting our ability to see uniqueness. The path towards success, happiness, and personal well-being is found when we become greater than rivalry. And we become greater than rivalry, conflict, and pettiness when we work for the common good of all and stop comparing and competing. And when we give people their self-worth and adopt the spirit of unconditional friendship, we live more openly, and we bypass many problems and pitfalls that accompany a challenging competitive attitude. When someone gets upset, they often avoid or stop talking to the individual who they are irritated with. But when they are upset and angry, that's when they need to communicate, talk things over, and share ideas. It's natural to have different opinions. Human relations is a process of compromise. Conflict is natural, so accept conflict. Life is a process of problems to be solved between people. So instead of being overwhelmed and controlled by problems or different opinions, control problems and differences by fulfilling people's needs. Communicate more often if someone thinks differently than you do, and work harder to help them feel safe, accepted, and effective. The best time to kill a cobra is in the egg. The best time to kill conflict is before it starts. And this is done with continuous positive communication and by making sure that we enhance the self-worth of everyone all the time. We have the need to get rid of our enemies. And to get rid of them, people often use harsh words, start rumors, fight with them, or try to socially cut them down. But this only multiplies our enemies. The only possible way to get rid of our enemies is to give them their self-worth, work with them, look at various situations their way, have a sense of equanimity, hold an attitude of unconditional friendship, and turn them into friends. Victorious living manifests itself with the spirit of brotherhood that transcends race, position, title, or color. Instead of divide and conquer, we must learn to unite and conquer. Each of us also has a powerful need to be recognized. Even a young child will cry or smile to be recognized. During World War II, young orphan children were put into hospitals. They were given plenty of nutritious food and excellent medical care, but they were dying, and no one could figure out why. Then they figured out that the children were dying because they were not being touched or held. The children were being treated with indifference. Then the nurses and doctors started to hold and touch the children, and then the children stopped dying. They discovered that young children will die if they are treated with indifference and not recognized. This type of death is called marasmus. So babies will die if they are treated with indifference because one of the strongest needs of a human being is to be recognized. The urge for recognition is a basic, powerful need in everyone's life. Business organizations have realized this. Walk into a restaurant when they are busy, and they will say something to you. They will recognize you immediately, even if they cannot wait on you right away. It's good business to be humane, supportive, and helpful because these things fulfill people's need to be recognized. And in our lives, when we recognize people, we are being humane and supportive. We are helping people to emotionally and spiritually thrive and grow. We are giving them what they really need. And when we treat people with indifference, we are being inhumane, unjust, and unwise because we are challenging their inner need to be recognized. So whenever we treat someone with indifference, we will be defeating ourselves because we will be resisted. Our influence will diminish. We will lose trust, respect, and support. Indifference doesn't work. Indifference will ruin us in a social, financial, and emotional way. But it's common for people to treat someone with indifference. People are treated with indifference because of generation gaps, because of pride, money, or position. People are even treated with indifference because they are old or because they have a mental or physical weakness. And these people need more care, attention, support, and recognition. When labels, pride, power, money, or generation gap differences become so important that we treat others with indifference, then we subtract from our own potential. We hinder our insights. We strangle our own personal growth potential. Regardless of our age, label, status, or power, we cannot ever afford to treat people with indifference because we will lose wisdom and insight if we do. To promote our own growth, we must promote the growth of others. So elevate your quality of life by recognizing others. We also have the need to feel important. And to fulfill this need, people buy fancy cars, jewelry, or clothing to make others feel green with envy. They do the wrong thing to fulfill their need for greatness. Others swagger or act superior to show that they are more important than someone else. By trying to be more, they have become less. People grow very small trying to be great. Competition is healthy and fun in the sports arena or in fair business practices, but competition is unhealthy and unpleasurable when it becomes our way of life. So don't compete with egos or negative attitudes. Let people have a superior attitude and swagger. Let them gain in witticisms and polish their sarcastic remarks. Don't compete with them. Don't put them in fear or threat. Don't play their game. Let them go if they will not listen to you. Be modest, humble, and quiet, and with time, they will decrease and you will increase, and you will learn a very valuable lesson because you will see how their foolishness will always be reflected back upon them. Because of their way of being, they will make major philosophical mistakes, and they are practicing being more childish and immature, so they will have problems and lose in time. The old saying is true, he who is most is least, and he who is least is most. To fulfill your need for greatness, you must invest in other people by helping them to grow. You must be a humanitarian. You must be for human progress and avoid being caught up in status, titles, or a superior attitude. Then you will be great. And you will find that it is much more self-fulfilling to inspire people by giving them enthusiasm, hope, and faith than it is to hurt them by trying to outdo them. Superior attitudes and indifference often become a way of life for many people by the time they become a teenager. For example, ask a group of grammar school children to put the winners on one side of the classroom and the losers on the other side of the room, and they can usually do this without hesitating. Automatically, they have a tendency to give negative labels or take someone's self-worth away. So at a young age, competing, comparing, and giving negative labels to someone becomes a habit or a way of life. And young children often accept the self-image that they are given, and this self-image will determine what they can do, who they are, and how they feel about themselves. So it's important for children, as well as for adults, to learn as soon as they can that it's self-defeating to give negative labels to others, and they need to know that people don't need indifference or negative self-images, they need empathy. People need someone to stand in their shoes and look at life their way and identify with their feelings. If you want to do a favor for someone, ask them how they feel, then listen to them, and try to understand what they are saying their way. Make it a habit to try and find out how other people feel and think. Be curious, thoughtful, and identify with them. Grow with people, don't just exist with them. Marriages and parent-child relationships have serious problems because people don't bother to share their feelings with each other on a day-to-day basis. They don't bother to communicate on a personal level on a regular basis. Many times a stranger can understand someone better than a family member. People have the need for self-expression, and when you ask them how they feel, they get to express themselves. And then if you really listen to what they are saying, you are fulfilling their need for self-expression, and you are fulfilling their need to be recognized at the same time. People try to fulfill their basic needs with prestige, money, and material possessions. Then they become rich. They have lots of material possessions, but they still feel nervous, upset, depressed, and lonely. Material possessions, money, fame, and position are external things, and these external things will not fulfill our internal basic needs. Internal needs cannot be fulfilled with external things, so give people what they need, respect them for what they are, ask them how they feel, identify with them, be empathetic, and try to see things their way. People also have a powerful need for honesty. They like to be treated with authenticity. They don't like to be techniqued. People often spend much of their life acting and imitating a fad, tradition, or person, and they lose out in life because they are not fulfilling their own need to become themselves. They are not being honest with themselves. So have the courage to be your true self. Don't gameplay or act a part. Really test yourself with life, and you will multiply your personal worth and fulfill your inner need to feel unique and authentic. If someone is really your friend, they will like you for what you really are. You will not have to act a part to win their friendship. Do you want to be treated like a thing, an object, or a person? People like to be treated like a person. So in order to treat yourself like a person and at the same time treat other people like a person, be authentic, be honest, and fulfill other people's needs. And just because someone is a relative, a close friend, a neighbor, or a close acquaintance doesn't mean the relationship is secure, wholesome, or lasting. All relationships must always be cultivated with care and attention. Good human relations do not happen by chance, they happen by design. Only when we are aware of the needs of others and actively fulfill their needs are we moving forward in our relationships. And fulfilling other people's needs isn't a sacrifice, it's a privilege, because it gives us a chance to learn about human nature, to see with insight, and improve our ability to communicate in a positive way. A fundamentally wrong theory of life is that an individual must surrender themselves and lose out in life if they take the time to fulfill the needs of others. The proper statement is that we come to a deeper self-consciousness, to individuality and wisdom as we help others. If we were stranded on an island alone and complained about the conditions on the island all the time, we would be subtracting from ourselves. We wouldn't be fulfilling our own needs. But if we respected the scenery, sunset, trees, and rocks, and learned to love the island, then we would be fulfilling our own needs. You would feel safe, accepted, and effective. Your self-worth would increase. Instead of being lonely, depressed, and bored, you would feel recognized, inspired, and happy. Because of your attitude, actions, and way of life, you would be fulfilling yourself. It doesn't make any difference what the island is like. If we learn to respect and love the island, we will be fulfilling our own needs. The same principle applies to people. It doesn't make any difference what other people do. If we fulfill the needs of other people, we will be satisfying our own needs. As we fulfill people's needs, we escape the artificial barriers between color, race, rank, boss, or generation. And we can look past the labels of physical things. Then we are not limited or blinded by fads, traditions, or customs. We see the power, the realism, and effectiveness of benevolence and kindness. And by being benevolent, we will improve our mental and emotional well-being. With benevolent thoughts, actions, and emotions, we are training our mind and nervous system to be calm. We are learning to think more effectively, and we are not overwhelmed by events. And then with age, we will become more wholesome and complete. We will be bigger than our ego, and this will counteract despair and helplessness. One of the major goals in life is to fulfill the need to feel more human, and you become more and more human as you get better at fulfilling people's needs. So if benevolence and kindness are not in style, if people are belligerent and sarcastic and don't believe in fulfilling anyone's needs, then they will be in trouble. They will hurt themselves mentally and emotionally, and have family, business, and social problems. And those who are benevolent and fulfill the needs of others will have peace of mind and happiness. They will prosper with family affairs and in business. If everyone in the world is mean, grouchy, and negative, then they will have low morale, nervousness, ulcers, headaches, and poor social relationships. But if one person seeks to fulfill the needs of others, then that individual will have high morale, enthusiasm rather than depression. They will not be nervous. They will be calm and happy. So watch out for general statements such as, everyone has low morale at work, or everyone has low morale at school, or because of the economy, everyone is depressed. By fulfilling our own inner needs, we can eliminate these group depression statements and remain free from ineffective thinking. As we become more thoughtful and harmonious, we fulfill our own inner needs to feel safe, accepted, and effective, and we find a deeper truth and multiply our quality of life all the time. The qualities that we give to others, we cultivate within ourselves. To the degree that we help others, we are psychologically healthy. To the degree that we fear and hate, we are psychologically ill. With positive values such as tolerance, kindness, and gratitude, we walk into life and find reality because we will see with insight. And with fear and hostility, we walk away from life and away from reality because we will not see things as they really are. So in order to be successful with life, use positive values in your human equation and improve your belief system by fulfilling the needs of others. Give them their self-worth. Recognize them. Empathize with them. Ask them how they feel. Be honest and help people feel safe, accepted, and effective, and you will be on the path of success and happiness.